Rabindranath Tagore, a polymath from Bengal, was a poet, painter, playwright, musician, philosopher, and social reformer. He employed contextual modernism to revolutionize Bengali literature, music, and Indian art in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Gitanjali, whose poetry has been described as profoundly sensitive, fresh, and lovely, was the first non-European and lyricist to win the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1913. Outside of Bengal, Tagore's beautiful prose and mystical poetry are largely unknown, despite the fact that his poetic lyrics were regarded as being mercurial and spiritual. He was a fellow of the Royal Asiatic Society. The moniker, the Bard of Bengal, was given to Tagore, also known by the names Gurudev, Kobiguru, and Biswakobi. Tagore, a Bengali Brahmin from Calcutta with gentry ancestry in Jessore in the Burdwan area, began writing poems when he was 8 years old. His first serious poetry, published at the age of 16 under the pen name Bhnusiha, Sun Lion, were hailed as forgotten gems by the literary establishment. He advanced to writing his first short stories and plays by 1877, which were released under his own name. He strongly opposed nationalism, condemned the British Raj, and called for independence from Britain as a humanist, universalist, internationalist, and internationalist. He created a massive canon as a representative of the Bengal Renaissance, which included paintings, sketches, and doodles, hundreds of books, and over 2,000 songs. He also established Visva-Bharati University, which continues to carry on his legacy. By rejecting rigorous classical forms and defying language conventions, Tagore modernized Bengali art. His books, short tales, songs, dance plays, and essays covered both political and private subjects. His most well-known compositions include Gitanjali, Song Offerings, Gora, Fair-Faced, and Ger Bayer, The Home and the World. His verse, short stories, and novels have received praise or criticism for their lyricism, colloquialism, realism, and unnatural introspection. 2 countries have adopted his works as their national anthems, Bangladesh's Amar Shanar Bangla, and India's Jana Gana Mana. His work served as the basis for the national song of Sri Lanka. The name Tagore is the anglicized transliteration of Thakur. The Tagore's original last name was Kushari. They were originally Parali Brahmins from the village of Kush in the West Bengali district of Burdwan. The son of Rabindranath Tagore and Sarada Devi, Rabi Tagore was born on May 7, 1861, at the Jursunko Palace in Calcutta, the youngest of the 13 surviving children. Since his mother had passed away when he was a little child and his father had a busy schedule, Tagore was primarily raised by servants. The Bengal Renaissance was spearheaded by the Tagore family. In addition to hosting literary magazine publications, they frequently presented theater performances and recitals of Bengali and Western classical music. The father of Tagore asked numerous renowned Dhrupad musicians to stay at the home and instruct the kids in Indian classical music. Tagore enrolled in a public school in Brighton, East Sussex, England in 1878 because Rabindranath wanted his son to become a barrister. The children of Tagore's brother Satyendranath, Surin, and Indira Devi were sent to live with him in 1877 along with their mother, Tagore's sister-in-law. He spent several months at the Tagore family's home in Medina Villas, close to Brighton and Hove. After a brief stint studying law at University College London, he once more dropped out to pursue independent study of Thomas Browne's Religio Medici, Coriolanus, and Antony and Cleopatra as well as plays by Shakespeare. Without a degree, he returned to Bengal in 1880 and vowed to combine the best elements of Brahmo traditions and European innovation. Tagore continued to publish poems, short stories, and novels after moving back to Bengal. Although they garnered little national notice, these had a significant influence on Bengal alone. In 1883 he married 10-year-old Mrinalini Devi, born Babatarini, 1873 to 1902. This was a common practice at the time. 2 of their 5 children, who were born, died as infants. Tagore started overseeing his huge ancestral properties in Shailedaha, now a province of Bangladesh, in 1890. His wife and children joined him there in 1898. one of Tagore's best-known works, the Manasi poems, were published. In charge of the Padma, the opulent family barge, Zamindar Babu Tagore navigated the Padma River in a crisscrossing motion, also known as budro. He usually received symbolic rentals from the peasants, who then honored him with dinners, occasionally made of dried rice and sour milk, as well as their blessings. Tagore relocated to Santiniketan in 1901 to establish an ashram including a prayer hall with a marble floor called the Mandir, an experimental school, tree groves, gardens, and a library. Both his wife and 2 of his kids passed away there. He lost his father in 1905. He received regular remittances from the Maharaja of Tripura, revenue from the sale of his family's jewellery, a coastal home in Puri, and a pitiful 2,000 rupees per month in book royalties as part of his inheritance and income. He published Navedya and Kiya and converted poems into free verse, gaining both Bengali and foreign readers. Gitanjali, a 1910 composition by Tagore, was translated into English in 1912. He shared these poems with fans when visiting London, including William Butler Yeats and Ezra Pound. A limited edition of the book was published in London by the India Society, and an excerpt from Gitanjali appeared in the American magazine Poetry. Tagore won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1913 for his collection of poems, Gitanjali, which is his most well-known work internationally. Tagore was the second non-European to win a Nobel Prize after Theodore Roosevelt and the first non-European to win a Nobel Prize in Literature. Tagore's Nobel Prize and a number of his other possessions were taken from the Visva-Bharati University security vault on March 25, 2004. The Swedish Academy made the decision to give Visva-Bharati University 2 copies of Tagore's Nobel Prize, one made of gold and the other of bronze, on December 7, 2004. The fictional movie Nobel Chor was influenced by it. In 2016, a Baul singer named Pradeep Bauri, accused of sheltering the thieves, was arrested and the prize was returned. Other significant works outside Gitanjali are Manasi, Sonar Tori, Balaka, and numerous others. Tagore was a prolific songwriter who is credited with creating about 2,230 songs. His songs, referred to as Rabindranath Tagore song, are seamlessly integrated into his works of literature, the majority of which were lyricized poetry or fragments of novels, stories, or dramas. They covered the full spectrum of human emotion, from his early dirge-like Brahmo religious hymns to nearly sexual songs, and were influenced by the Thumri form of Hindustani music. They varied in how closely they resembled the tonal color of traditional ragas. At the age of 60, Tagore started drawing and painting. After being encouraged by painters he met in the south of France, Tagore's various works underwent successful exhibitions all across Europe before making their debut in Paris. He was probably red-green colorblind, which led to odd color combinations and unconventional aesthetics in his works. Amartya Sen claims that Tagore opposed overtly nationalist aspects of the independence movement and sought to uphold India's right to independence without downplaying the value of what the country could learn from other countries. He exhorted the populace to eschew victimology and seek self-help and education instead, and he considered the existence of British administration as a political manifestation of our social disease. Even for those living in great poverty, he claimed, there can be no thought of blind revolution. Instead, what was preferred was a steady and intentional education. Many people were outraged by these opinions. During his stay in a hotel in San Francisco in the latter part of 1916, he nearly avoided being assassinated by Indian expatriates. The scheme failed when his would-be assassins got into a fight. Songs by Tagore extolled the Indian freedom fight. Chido Jetha Baishunyo and Ekla Chelo Re, 2 of Tagore's more politically charged songs, found widespread popularity, with Gandhi favoring the latter. Although he was somewhat critical of Gandhian agitation, Tagore played a crucial role in settling a Gandhi-Ambedkar disagreement about electorates specifically for untouchables, thereby putting an end to at least one of Gandhi's until death fasts. The year-round Tagore Festival held in Urbana, Illinois, USA, Rabindranath Parikrama walking pilgrimages from Kolkata to Santiniketan, and recitals of his poetry held on significant anniversaries are just a few of the events that honor Tagore each year. Kabipranam, the anniversary of his birth, is also celebrated by groups all over the world. From language and the arts to history and politics, Bengali culture is rife with this inheritance. Tagore was described as a towering figure and a highly relevant and multifaceted modern thinker by Amartya Senator. The 1939 Rabindranath Tagore, a Bengali original by Tagore, is revered as one of his country's greatest cultural treasures, and he was given the relatively humble title of the best poet India has created.